So, you were given a prescription note to go to the pharmacy and collect drugs. On getting to the pharmacy, the pharmacist was struggling to read the prescription. And let's say you went out of the hospital to pharmacies outside the hospital, and you went to a couple of pharmacies, and there was a struggle to read what was written in the prescription. There was a time in a doctor's WhatsApp group, someone posted a prescription and asked if we could decipher what was the drugs. A doctor's group of many doctors, and it took a while for us to decipher and find out what was the actual prescription about the drugs in the prescription. There was one I was pretty sure of, that is this drug. But some other person came and said, is this other drug? And I became convinced that it was the drug the other person mentioned. So we have this situation where a lot of people have complained that they can't read the doctor's handwriting, that the prescription, the note from the doctor, they can't read it. And some have said that doctors have bad handwriting. Some say they do it deliberately, And there was something I read somewhere, that somewhere a study was done. They compared the notes written by doctors and notes written by other professionals, and they found out that the ones written by doctors were worse off. So we have things like that. Now, let me talk from my own experience. What I noticed that many of us, including myself, we don't have good writing. Many of us don't have good writing. Even you, if you gather 100 people, right, to write, majority will not have proper writing. In your class, in school, how many people have good writing that you can borrow their notes and use? So many, right? The people that have good writing are usually smaller than those that have worse or bad handwriting. So let's get that out of the way. Many of us have poor handwriting. Now, that's one thing. Another thing is that, if you are working under pressure, you have a lot of patients to see, you have a lot of things to do, and you have a lot of notes to write, that pressure could make the already poor handwriting worse. Because if you notice, if you write more slowly, right, your handwriting tends to be better. It is when you write faster that the handwriting usually become worse off. And so, if you're under a lot of pressure, you have a lot of things to do, a lot of notes to make, handwriting can get worse. Now, and we know that poorly written notes, right, can be a problem. If you, the one that is writing it, if you are the one to use it, you may not have much problem because you are familiar with your writing, right? But if someone else is to use it, that becomes a problem. So, there was a time, I thought about this, and I recognize some things, right? One is that if you are writing notes that you would use, the note is within the unit, it's not going out, right? You may have some more liberty. But if you are writing something that is going out, you're writing a prescription note that will go out, if you're writing a referral note that will go out, you're writing an investigation or something that will go out, you should be more careful about what you write. Now, if we apply the principles of medical ethics, we have principles of medical ethics. Some of the core principles of medical ethics include: 1, the principle of beneficence. The principle of beneficence that you must act in the best interest of the patient. You must act in the good of the patient. Now, if you write, let's say, a prescription, you write a prescription and the patient cannot get the drug, right? Because the people who are trying to read it can't read what you wrote. You've not acted in the best interest of the patient. So that's principle number 1. The another principle is the principle of non-malfeasance. Non-malfeasance. That is the principle that states primum non nocere. Primum non nocere means first do no harm. So the principle of non-malfeasance is that you do not do something that will cause harm to the patient. Do not cause harm to the patient. Don't do what will cause harm to the patient, to your patient. So if your writing is not clear enough, and the pharmacy or whoever is filling out that prescription cannot read what you wrote and now dispense something different from what you wrote, that could lead to harm to that patient. That's another principle that you should take note of. The another principle is the principle of autonomy. Autonomy is where you have to respect the right of the patient to make decision for himself or herself. Why this is important? And the principle of consent, informed consent. Informed consent is that you have to get the patient to agree to give consent, to agree to the treatment and to the procedure and to the tests and to whatever surgeries or things you are doing for the patient. Patient has to agree. That's the principle of consent. Now, in those days, right, we had this perception, and it's possible that it was also true, that some of the handwriting was deliberate in order to conceal the identity of the drugs, because